All right, Sean Bormet here with another 5 questions. Coming off a tough one last Friday against Maryland, split matches evenly, but lost on the second tiebreak criteria. What were some of your big takeaways from that duel?
Oh, definitely did not impose our will and set the tone in several of those matches. Starting with the first period, just not enough offense, didn't create enough scoring opportunities, didn't dominate ties where we needed to create openings. A lot of that boils down to, sometimes the energy you're bringing to the mat, and it was not a reflection of our conditioning, but definitely a reflection, I think, at some weights of just first weighing in a month and not fully being confident in how they were going to feel going into those matches. And that's something that's got to be ironed out. I think obviously we adjusted Nolan Wertman up to 133 now that we know Ragason's out for the year. So that was a late adjustment, moving him up a weight class. I think he will continue to adjust to that weight, but again, a lot of opportunities to win. 3 or 4 more of those matches. But we didn't make enough things go our way. That's a reflection of how we wrestled those specific matches. I don't think it's a reflection of where this team is at or what they're capable of by any means. But it was definitely a frustrating duel in terms of our output in offense and just the overall competitive fire that we competed in some of those matches was not where the standard needs to be.
We had Bo Mantanona back at 65. We debuted Josh Heinzelman at heavyweight in our starting lineup. First match, not first match, but, Bo's kind of been off the mat for a few months. How do you see him kind of working back into shape and in that role?
Yeah, I mean, Bo's a great competitor. He's starting these matches a little racy. I think he's trying to make a lot of things happen fast instead of just settling into the wrestling, coming out hard with his hands and his pressure and his motion. But I think he just a guy that wants to compete. He wants to score points. So he started that match a little racy, and the kid was a little flexible on top. He was trying to force a couple turns early, and ended up getting reversed. But I think with Bo, he's going to continue to improve the more matches he gets. That was his second weigh-in, his second competition, and what I see when he gets back into the wrestling room, the way he trains, and what he's capable of, I think he will just continue to competitively get more stable, more consistent, and just more dialed in.
How did you react, kind of taking things back into the practice room? What was your message to the guys, and what were some of the things you really focused on this week?
I mean, the standards of how we compete are critical. Even if we won that duel on criteria, I would have felt the same way, and it would have been the same message. It wasn't, it was more about individual performance and then performance across the 10 weights. So just the standards are higher in terms of how we compete, win or lose, the attack rate we have to put ourselves in a position to score enough points and get our hand raised. Fundamental skills. So we just, we just drilled down. We had, a lift that next morning, conversation with the team, and then really just kept the magnifying glass on some very key areas early this week. We're not changing a lot of things we're doing because of that. We just got to drill down harder and really just continue to hammer out the standards and some of the basic wrestling principles. So guys responded really well. Attitudes were great. We really talked about just, the only positives coming off that were the positives we were going to inject once we got back into training and we started to prepare for this upcoming week with Northwestern and Minnesota. So, competitive fire, imposing your will, attack rate, and just getting tough in those critical moments.
So looking ahead to these duels this weekend, Northwestern on Friday, Minnesota on Sunday. I think you probably just laid out what you want to see, but what's going to be the emphasis this weekend?
Yeah, response. I mean, in a couple of these weights, especially down low with 125, 133, we're still sort of like ironing out those weights. Obviously we big loss with Dylan Ragusin out for the season, so Nolan was sort of cutting a little more weight to get down to 25. So we're giving him an opportunity to see how he can compete at 33. We got both Christian and Wilfred Tanafu at 125. We're just sort of getting Wilfred back from he was out most of the fall, so. But we need great effort and great production at those weights, and so we're excited to see those guys compete. Excited to see the response from the team, and sort of what I saw Monday and Tuesday in our training, and just that competitive fire, and all the things we've had the magnifying glass on.
I want to insert one extra question. You mentioned Christian Tanafu. He had a good win on Friday night. So how have you seen him progress over the last couple of years? It seems like he's kind of gotten better from year to year.
Yeah, Christian he's definitely made progress, and I'd say he's made a big jump from halfway through the year last year to this fall, and sort of this fall each week he's sort of making improvements in terms of his potential's always been there, but his ability to wrestle complete match is where he's had to really dial in, and I thought he did a pretty good job of that on Friday night. Off to a great start. He sort of took a couple little things happened in that third period, and it's sort of like he sort of took his foot off the gas a little bit at the end, but he did fight off that last takedown really hard. Guy was in deep, and he really put a great effort into fighting off that takedown to keep that major decision, which was important. So those are the kind of things we want to continue to see him build off, and like I said, I thought he did a great job for the most part on Friday.
All right, wrap it up with a club question. We're sending a bunch of guys overseas later this month. Kind of get a little synopsis of what that's going to look like.
Yeah, so two tours, Bulgaria, and then ranking tournament over in Croatia. So we have Austin Gomez heading over, Alec Pantelio, Will Lewan, Matt Feinsilver, Mason Paris. These guys are all getting ready to leave next week to head over to compete. Alex Daringer will be heading over with them to coach them, and there'll also be about a week, 7, 8, 9 day training camp in Croatia leading up to that between the Bulgaria tournament and Croatia. So be great overseas tournament competition. Those guys have been training hard, and I know they're also really excited to compete for first time in 2025.
All right, Sean, thanks. Go Blue.
Go Blue.